Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Mahalik, and today I want to talk to you about one of the most famous public history sites in America, which is the Freedom Trail in downtown Boston. The Freedom Trail is a collection of a lot of the most famous historic sites in Boston along a 2.5-mile loop, and these include sites dating back from Boston's early colonial years through the American Revolution, and some sites then between there and the mid-1800s as well. And these are where some of the most prominent events in early American history took place that you can still visit today. So let's go through some of the specific locations that you'll find along the tour. And first you'll find some of the churches in downtown Boston, such as its most visited location, which is Old North Church. And this is the place where 2 lanterns were hung in its belfry as a warning about the British March on Lexington and Concord. Also on the tour, you'll find the Park Street Church, which has been home to a lot of famous Bostonians, and most prominently, it was the center of Boston's anti-slavery movement, and is known as being the place where William Lloyd Garrison gave his first anti-slavery speech. Also along the tour, you'll find several prominent political sites, such as Old South Meeting House, and it was during a meeting here that the Sons of Liberty left and headed to the harbor for what's known as the Boston Tea Party. Also, you'll find Faneuil Hall, which has served a variety of purposes throughout Boston's history. It was the site of the first town meeting in America. It also was another place where the Sons of Liberty met to discuss their protests, and then during the Revolutionary War it served as a garrison for British soldiers as well. And also along the tour you'll find the Massachusetts State House, built in 1718, and is one of the oldest state government buildings in America, still functioning today. Also on the tour there are several very old graveyards, in which you'll find, among others, several of the signers of the Declaration. The Puritan ministers Cotton and Increase Mather are both buried here, and so are Paul Revere and the founder of Boston, John Winthrop. In the realm of military history, there are sites such as the Boston Massacre location, where several Boston citizens were killed by British soldiers during the occupation before the war, and the USS Constitution, frigate which served in the War of 1812, was quite prominent in that combat, and also Bunker Hill, the site of one of the earliest battles of the Revolution, just across the harbor from downtown Boston. And there are a variety of other sites, such as the House of Paul Revere, the famous Midnight Rider, and a monument to the 54th Massachusetts, which was one of the first all-black regiments to fight in the Civil War. And like I said, there are a variety of others as well. Now, with a location like the Freedom Trail, there's definitely some challenges that arise. For example, the sites on the tour are arranged geographically, because that's where they are, rather than chronologically or topically, and this can lead to some confusion as to exactly what each site's significance is. Also, as any public history site, there's a balance that must be struck between popular history of being entertaining, and also with academic history of getting their facts right and explaining the correct significance of each location. And also, of course, there's the challenge of coordinating this many different locations of this many different types of history. So, nevertheless, the Freedom Trail gives a picture of just how significant Boston was to early America, and especially shows its role as the birthplace of American Revolution. So, I would highly recommend that if you can make a trip to Boston, the Freedom Trail is definitely worth your time. Thank you. Goodbye.